Hi, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Imperial Everyday Woman podcast. Before you get started, we just wanted to add a quick trigger warning about the contents of this episode. While we are used to having intense and in-depth conversations, just wanted to let folks know that this episode does include conversations around mental health awareness and also a short conversation and mention about miscarriage. Just a reminder, we hope that our content is beneficial and encouraging, but we would never want anyone to be hurt or harmed by its content. So be sure to take care of yourself and wanted to make sure that you knew of the content before you started listening with us. We hope that you will join us. And why don't you join us on our social media as well? Give us your thoughts and feedback on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Imperial Everyday Women. Thanks for joining us. This is really butchered.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Where do we leave? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Imperial Everyday Women. I'm Dr. D.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're glad to have you with us today. I'm excited about the topic, Miss Ash. We are going to be featuring another Imperial Everyday Woman, and then we're going to be talking about mental health awareness in recognition of this being Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm excited to dig into that, and we'll round it out with talking about women and friendships between women. So it should be an interesting episode. We are drinking some really good tea, so we invite you to go do the same and grab a snack and hang around and stay with us.
All right, so Dr. D, today I decided that I was going to go ahead and feature for our Imperial feature today, Mrs. Bobby J. Winston.
Awesome.
I know that you know her. I've known her my entire life, and she's just an amazing individual. And so I had some stuff written down, which is cool, but for me, I know her personally. I've had, like I said, a relationship with her my entire life. And it's just an honor to even go ahead and feature her on this podcast today. And the most amazing thing is her birthday was this month, so it works out, right? So let's talk about Miss Bobby J. Winston. So from my heart, I think that she is just an amazing individual. Number one, she can cook, right? She's one of the best cooks I know. Besides my mama, Mrs. Winston is one of the best cooks I know. Additionally, I remember growing up, I was about 13 years old, and I would go to be the only young person at women's conferences growing up. And I remember this last conference that I went to, she gathered a bunch of women, and they donated money to me, and they took me shopping. She sent me shopping, and it was just that about her that I was just like, wow, like that is so selfless. That's so amazing. On top of that, I remember us going to celebrate my cousin's graduation in Rock Island, and we were driving down the street, and I saw this garage sale, and they had this huge Winnie the Pooh there. I mean, it was almost as tall as I was at the time. And for me, I was like, man, that's really nice. And everybody who knows me personally knows that my nickname is Pooh.
I didn't know that.
Probably shouldn't have told y'all that.
Because now the world knows.
The world knows that my nickname is Pooh. My great aunt calls me Pooh. And so I loved Winnie the Pooh. And Mrs. Winston said, let's stop and get this bear. And it was just those type of memories that I have of her. She did that often. She does it with others. She adopts people into her family. And that's just so amazing to me. It's so amazing. It's something to emulate. It's something to strive for. So the word that I want to use to describe Mrs. Bobby J. Winston today is evolutionary, right? She improves people, I believe.
Yeah.
She helps to refine others, definitely for their betterment. And I think even for hers, it does something for her as well. There's just, to know her is to love her. And she will welcome you into her family with open arms and love you like you're hers. So, Mrs. Bobby J. Winston, this feature is for you. I love you so much. You call me my mom by my mom's name all the time. When you see me, hey, Lisa, I meant Ashley. So I love you so much, and this feature goes out to you. I am honored to know you.
Me too. I think of some pivotal moments in my adult life as a woman, and I've never shared this with her, some of the richest lessons that I had was because she said D and then gave you these pearls of wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
That left you left her changed and not the same. And as a mother, she has amazing children. She's her own children, and then to have impacted so many individuals.
Exactly.
You know, the children in her family, her church children. She has a ripple effect on those who she's touched. So I too love you, Miss Winston, and thank you for everything that you've done as a woman who's imperial, amazing, awesome, and is a great example of who to espouse to be. So it's Mental Health Month, Miss Ashley.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Mental health awareness. And you and I were talking about what topic we should do next, and why we might want to talk about mental health awareness as it relates to women who are just everyday women but doing amazing things that we have somewhat dismissed. And that made me think about everyday women and particularly anxiety disorders and taking care of one's mental health.
Yeah.
So, you want to give us some information about Mental Health Month?
Sure. So, this morning I decided to do some investigating and some reading up on mental health and what that looks like. And after reading an article that I found from the Mayo Clinic, it talked about stigma is one thing that it pinpointed. And it says that stigma is when someone views you in a negative way because you have a distinguishing characteristic or personal trait that's thought to be or actually is a disadvantage, right? All in all, I said all that good stuff to say it's a negative stereotype.
Mm.
And so, in addition into reading this article, it said that there are some things that may happen as a result of buying into the stigma, into the negative stereotype. When you buy into it, what happens is there becomes a reluctance to seek help or treatment. There's a lack of understanding, sometimes by family, friends, or even coworkers or others. There are fewer opportunities for work, school, or social activities, or trouble finding housing. These are just things that may happen, but they don't necessarily have to. But then it also talked about steps to cope with the stigma, with that, again, that negative stereotype. Get treatment. yeah, get treatment. You may be reluctant to admit you need treatment, but don't let that fear of being labeled with a mental illness prevent you from seeking help.
Yeah.
Treatment can provide relief by identifying what's wrong and reducing the symptoms that interfere with your work and your personal life. And then I would say just don't let stigma create self-doubt and shaming you.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. You feel like something's wrong with me when it comes to that. Don't isolate yourself. Don't equate yourself with your illness, and definitely speak out against stigma, against those. What did I say? Stigma was those negative stereotypes, right?
Sure. What's true with mental health, and I don't know if you know this, I'm a mental health first aider, and I actually do training like first aid training, health first aid. You can go through a mental health first aid training and become a certified mental health first aider.
Sure.
And in that training, we learn about some of the statistics and some of the stigma. And what is true right now, 2019, about to be 2020, is we know more about mental health than ever before. And that's a way we address the stigma.
Okay.
That it is no longer words that we have to whisper or things that we have to hide. It's actually a very well-known area of health and well-being, is to talk about mental health. And it's not that this is new, but it's because we have become more educated as a society, that we now have diagnoses and medicine and the tools that you talked about. I was just talking to a friend today and was saying a diagnosis is just education and strategy.
Okay.
It's, oh, this is what's going on with me. And because of that, now I can strategize. I can know what are my triggers, what tools are out there to help me navigate the world. But if you, like you said, if we keep it hidden, then you find yourself, and I've seen people fighting a battle that seems like they can't win it. It's because your hands are tied behind your back, right? And more women that I've talked to and that I've helped support in my role are struggling with particularly anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And for a long time, my mother used to tell me this too. We think it can be fixed by going to take a nap. Or, there's some things like changing your diet and rest and exercise that absolutely does impact your mental health. But anxiety disorder is a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's not you overreacting. It's I've had friends have anxiety and say, "What is wrong with me?" You're having an anxiety attack, right? And so instead of thinking you're broken, how can we start to work on the triggers? Particularly when the triggers are the things in your life you can't avoid as a woman. Okay. If you're out there and you're a mom and your kids give you anxiety, I want you to know it's okay. And someone is thinking, I hide in the bathroom because I don't want anybody to know. Like, I must be an awful human being that my kids cause me anxiety. Well, actually, you're not. This is the way that your chemistry is right now and the way that your brain works. And it doesn't mean that you're not imperial, you're not amazing. It's just there are some triggers, and your kids might be excellent at hitting those triggers. But I wanted to read 5 of the major types of anxiety disorders. There's just a generalized anxiety disorder where I live in a world of anxiety. I'm often anxious, and it doesn't take much to get me anxious.
Yeah.
Then there's the obsessive compulsive disorder, which you can look these up for yourself, but it's this, I am obsessed about something. I've seen this in women who will clean what is already clean, right?
That's not me.
Oh, there's panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, which lots of folks don't realize that that's what they're dealing with. This came up for me personally in a year where I unfortunately found myself in more than one car accident. And so the trauma of getting back behind the wheel was really formidable. And it was, or even driving and feeling like I wasn't as safe as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Right. And so trying to get to my destination because I felt like the car itself was not a safe place. Anything can bring up post-traumatic stress disorder. I also experienced a little bit of this after one of my miscarriages because it was so out of the blue.
Okay.
Right. And so what I was doing at the time caused me so much trauma that it was difficult. I think it was grocery store. It was difficult to go back to that grocery store because just walking in made me feel like I was on unsteady ground, and anything can happen at any moment. So post-traumatic stress disorder is often, really relegated and accounted to folks who work in armed services and just what you think are really highly unsafe environments, but it can be because you fell at a certain place and the trauma of falling sticks with you. And then the last one is the social anxiety disorder, which is really just being around people causing a high amount of anxiety, and being self-conscious about everyday, what people would say is everyday normal social situations, right? So eating in public, public speaking, and it's not nervousness. It is debilitating.
Yeah.
To the point where you can't function. So what I do think we need to say here is that we're giving you the setup for mental health, just so we have a context of the conversation we're going to have. We are not presenting it as something to take lightly, nor to use these terms in an undiagnosed way.
Absolutely.
So I've heard particularly young people saying, oh, they just have OCD. It is not cool to use these terms in a very flippant and undiagnosed way, because these are serious conditions that people really struggle with having to live with every day. So forgive our expedited description of them. It is meant to be no disrespect. And if you are feeling some of these, we encourage you to see your doctor.
Absolutely.
But I want to shift to how women deal with their mental health. Do you feel like you have anything that you do on a consistent basis to address your mental health?
So, honestly, just being transparent, this summer I felt like I just had moments of just really bad anxiety about just life, from school to work, and what I did was shopped.
Okay.
Just because that seemed like the only thing that helped me, and that definitely is probably not something I would suggest for anybody. But for me, it was something that kind of helped me to remain calm and to catch my bearings, because life was just difficult for me, I felt. But to be quite honest, I want to look into doing yoga.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
I think I invited you to do hot yoga.
Yes,
right?
you did.
So
I think I ignored that text. We can revisit it, though.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so checking out yoga, just being able to sit and clear your mind and, help yourself to navigate those things that are causing you anxiety.
Yeah.
What about you?
We didn't mention depression, so we also depression is part of mental health, because that is one that is very common to women. So what I know about, and you can check out mentalhealthfirstaid.org if you want more information, but what I know about mental health includes the fact that self-care is imperative. It may not be a cure, but it absolutely is important as it relates to keeping trying to pursue just a mentally healthy life. And so for me, I am a window shopper, but I think what I found is it's not the window shopping, it's the activity that gives my brain a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so it can be at the bookstore where I can get lost in going through the shelves, window shopping at, other stores, sitting with a friend that I know, like you, Miss Ashley, that I know I can get lost in the conversation and it's good and it's enriching.
Yeah.
And it's not avoidance, right? It's actually giving my brain a break.
Yeah.
I am an avid believer in getting massages. If you do some research on massages, it actually breaks up some of that chemistry in your body, and they encourage you to flush out after the massage with like chamomile tea or water. Okay. Because of the chemistry in the brain, depending on the massage that you get, it helps to release some of that. So, yeah.
I'm really interested in that.
Yeah. I think my family has learned that I need a moment. And sometimes that moment can be at home where I'm just in a room without having to function and to use my brain power.
Yeah.
But I'm at the age and development as a woman that I also know sometimes I have to leave my house. Because when I'm in my house, I'm in my role. And so I see, stuff that needs to be cleaned and stuff that needs to be ironed and stuff that needs to be fixed and fixing emotions and fixing dinner and fixing, laundry. And so there are times I recognize I can't be home and be healthy mentally. And it's not anybody's fault,
right?
But what society has told me about my role.
That's deep. I literally just typed. Did you guys hear my keyboard? I literally just typed that down. Sometimes it takes getting out of your role.
Yeah.
Taking a break and getting out of your role for just a moment to collect yourself.
There's some women who struggle with, this all sounds great, but how do I find the time? And I know you're busy and all the things that you do and all your roles. And we also tell ourselves, if I stop doing my role, everything's going to fall apart.
Yeah. Not realizing that if you continue, that you'll be the one to fall apart. Look at that.
Yeah. It's the airplane theory, right?
Yeah.
Put the mask on yourself. You have to be healthy and whole before you can help someone else. I'll tell you, too, what motivates me is I don't want my daughter coming up having to deal with some of this. So I'm struggling with, here's the things that I feel like I know I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
But I also want to dismantle some of those stereotypes and stigma for her.
Okay. So let me ask you something, since you brought that up. Do you think that stress, anxiety is a part of the human way? Does that make sense? Like, that it is inevitable for us to not deal with stress, or to not go through and have stress. But the key is to learn how to deal with stress as it arises.
Yes, and to know your limit on stress.
Okay.
For example, there is a reasonable amount of stress in life. But if you encounter a person who never, that's all they do, is bring you stress, that's optional.
Okay.
At any point. So it goes back to when we were talking in the last episode about happiness, right?
Yeah.
Not every stress is required stress.
True.
But reasonable amount of stress, I do think, is just part of life.
Make sure you check out that episode of the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, it's a
shameless plug.
So before we wrap up, we've talked about the definition of particularly mental health and anxiety disorders, encouraged women to take care of themselves. Just want to, before we end this segment, to really dismantle what I feel some women have decided is unique to them.
Mm.
So we talked about there are certain people in your life that you adore and you love, but they also can impact your mental health. Another stereotype we want to just dismantle is there may be times that you will go through your experience of mental unhealthiness. You may be driving and find yourself uncontrollably crying. You may find yourself hiding in the bathroom. You may find yourself hyperventilating. You may find yourself really exhibiting unhealthy characteristics. You're not alone. You're not the only one, and there is help for you. It's a blessing to have a friend or a loved one that you can be transparent with and say, hey, this is coming. I can feel it. I need you to come get me out of the closet in about 15 minutes because I will be in there and barricaded myself. Having those people that you trust to say, I am not in a good place. I'm not in a good place. And then doing what it is okay for you to do, whatever is necessary for you. If you have a person that is telling you that you need to be second in your own life, they are toxic and they are wrong.
And you need to change that.
As soon as you can. You may not be able to do it now, but as soon as you can. Any final thoughts?
No, but I did want to tell the people to go get you a tea from Starbucks because I'm drinking one right now and it's really good.
They're not giving us no money?
They're not, but I love Starbucks and I don't mind giving them a shout out.
Take care of yourself, including your mental health. All right, Miss Ashley, what's on your current playlist? What you listening to?
So definitely Kendrick Lamar, or actually it's not Kendrick Lamar, it's Anderson .Paak featuring Kendrick Lamar, Tense. Can't go wrong with that.
Send me that. I don't know that I've heard that.
What?
Mm-mm.
Listen, Linda.
I got my phone out right now.
Listen.
Send it.
Okay. And then, let's see. Definitely, I have some Summer Rain, Carl Thomas. Two Bad Habits, Angie Stone.
I got Two Bad Habits.
Really?
And one? Yeah, that's a good song.
Automatic by The Bonfire.
Nope.
Song goes hard.
Send me that one too.
And then, so Overjoyed by Victory.
Oh, wrong one.
Yeah, but it's still really nice. And then let's see, Golden Time of Year by Kim. It's actually by Frankie Beverly and Maze, but Kim redid it.
Nice.
So those are some heavy hitters in my rotation right now.
So I'm really only listening to 2 artists right now on mine because that's how I do it. Like, I'll find something I really love and then I listen to it nonstop to the point where it just starts to make me sick.
Mm-hmm.
And then I move on to something else. And I sent you one of them. Is Brennan John.
Yeah, buddy.
I don't know how I tripped over finding this little mini EP, but the Vanilla Espresso by Brennan John.
That's a nice album, y'all.
All those little 4 songs, right? Because it's not a full CD. I Miss You, When You Call.
Yep.
Don't Go Alone.
Yep.
And Colors.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is highly possible and true that I have sent each of those songs to different people. Except I Miss You, because I Miss You says I shouldn't, and I don't have anybody in my life that I miss that I shouldn't miss. But that's a nice CD.
That's a really nice CD, y'all.
And then I have gone back to listen to a little bit of DAngelo. Don't hate me for it.
No.
Okay. Why? He's in my rotation, and every couple months I remember how amazing he is. And so right now I'm listening to his live at the Jazz Cafe in London from the 1996 CD.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's just a really talented musician.
He is.
And shout out, because he's a PK too.
I didn't know that.
He is a preacher's kid.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let us know what's on your playlist. There may be something you're listening to that we want to listen to too. So before we end today's episode, I wanted to talk about women friends. I have seen on social media women who are proud that they don't have friends. They find it as a badge of honor to need no one, not to need anyone. And when I think of mental health, I know that I am better and healthier mentally, emotionally, and I would say even physically, because I have strong women friends that love me.
Mm.
That kind of like, I will come and get you out of the darkness kind of love.
Yeah.
That I will fight somebody kind of love. The don't call me every day because we both busy, but when we do talk, it will be just like we talked yesterday kind of love. Is it a myth? Do you feel like am I an anomaly that, I have women friends and we all love each other and get along? I feel like it's a myth that women can't be friends.
I think so too. I don't fight with my friends. I don't have drama within my friendships. I don't. I think they're necessary. I think women friendships are extremely necessary for life. Like, I don't understand how you could go through life without someone to identify with and just to be supportive. I think my friends I feel like they represent me in a way. I have different types of friends for different things, for different stages of life.
Yeah.
And so I feel like my friends are a reflection of each stage of my life. And I think that's amazing to see. And one thing that's important to me is if I call you friend, listen, I mean it. I don't fall out with my friends. I remember I fell out with a friend in high school, maybe middle school. And that was my first and only friend that I fell out with. And I get it. But it's just like, I value friendship. So if you feel like friends are not for you, I feel like you should reevaluate that thought.
How do you define friendship? You and I talked about this offline.
We did. How do I define friendship? Friendship. That's a good question. I think
what's your requirement?
Honesty. Like, I need honesty. Like, for some reason, I feel like if I have honesty, I feel like there's nothing that we can't be or do, right? If I have honesty with you. And then I need someone that'll just be able to handle my crazy.
That's it? That's not bad.
No,
but I mean, all you want to go into right now?
Yeah, like, be able to handle me. Like, I'm goofy. I'm deep.
You
I'm
are deep, Miss Ashley. I love it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You keep me thinking. I don't like boring relationships. I don't mind sitting in silence.
Yeah.
But I also like to be engaged. Like, make me work. Make me think. Even if it's just about a crazy conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you always have me sitting on the edge of my seat like, man, really? Or sometimes, like, you'll do things and I'll just have to come back later to it. Like that's
Sorry.
too deep. No, but
I was
I need
writing
someone
a-
to. I
I'm
need
sorry.
someone to just to engage me and just to be honest and to be available and to honesty is the best policy. I just keep going back to honesty. What about you though?
So when I define friendship, of course, I think about what is it about the ones I call best friend and why. It's longevity. They are the ones who have shown they're not going anywhere, even when I have not been my best self.
Okay.
It is a person who will show me a mirror and it is an accurate one. I don't need a lot of compliments, but I also don't want someone who never sees my good side. So a nice measure of both, right?
Yeah.
Just show me me. Help me see who I am, because sometimes my life is so busy. I may not know how I'm showing up in the world.
Okay.
Right? My best friend has said before, cut that out. And I'm like, oh, I am doing that. Right? Because I really hadn't thought about it. I was just functioning. Or she'll say, slow down or chill, because I'm in the go mode and I need a friend who will help me see that. I think the last thing I'll mention is, besides engagement, like we just talked about, be engaging. I eat that up. Like, just engage my mind. I really love that. But I would say, and you and I have talked about this too, consistency.
Yeah.
I don't do well with the rug being pulled from under me or being surprised about how a person is going to be today. Just be who you are, and then we'll figure it out. I don't know. Maybe it's because life changes them, and so they change. But I just like someone to be consistent.
Yeah.
And then
I was just thinking
because I adore them. Yes. Yeah. If I can, I'd have to trust you with me.
Facts, right?
Yes.
I hate that phrase, but I use it all the time now.
You text it too.
But yes, trustworthiness. Like,
yeah.
I need to be able to divulge and not worry about what I've divulged.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
And I want you to divulge to me.
Fact.
Right? I don't want to be the only one. I don't want to be the only one sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel weird being the only sharer.
Let us know how you define friend. And do you have same gender friends? And if you don't, why not? Let's unpack it. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. This is such a joy for us to do. And I say for me, the main part of it is being able to celebrate women and then to remind them they're not alone. The things that you are dealing with and managing every day actually make you amazing. It's not just those things that are unique and extraordinary. It's you getting up every day, putting one foot in front of the other, managing your life, managing the roles that you have, and doing it in a way that you keep your mental health. That makes you Imperial. And we want to celebrate you.
Yeah, definitely.
Join us again in a couple weeks. Shout out to us on our social media platforms, Imperial Everyday Women on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we'll see you soon.